All right, let's talk about watercolor cakes. Watercolor cakes come in a set that have several colors, and you just add water to them to get the color out. Now, like any watercolors, they're convenient. You add water to it. They're transparent, meaning you can see the drawing through it if you're using the watercolor properly, and they're not really that messy. For setup, you need water, a brush, and a paper towel. Now let's get started. On your around the room paper, you should make sure you're always writing down the information before you start painting. Once you start painting, you could get your hand in the paint when you're trying to write, and it could be a little bit more messy, so try to avoid that. All right, so to add water to these, I just put a few drops. Let's say I'm going for the blue here. Few drops of water, stir it around. Don't try to dig that paint out. It should be pretty watery, okay? If you want a darker color, you stir it around a little bit longer. If you want a lighter color, you can just add a little bit more water. Don't stir it as much, okay? So there's a couple cool techniques with the watercolors. If you just want a nice solid color, you know, carefully paint just like this. Sometimes you want to add a little texture to your paint, so something like what you see here. And to do that, that's called blotting. So what you can do, you can add your paint, make sure it's pretty wet, and then you can pull up some of the paint. Now when I blot it, I push it down and pull it straight up. I don't rub it in. And then I'm gonna just keep that texture there. There's another technique that you can try that's called wet on wet technique. And with that technique, you just add water. So I'm gonna color this part of my petal in just with some water, nice and clean. And now I'm gonna go in for the red and just add some dots of red, and you'll see it'll kind of spread on its own. And it's sort of nice with this technique to add a couple colors. So maybe I'm gonna go from red, and you gotta kind of do it fast or else it won't work. Adding plain water. And since I already have my blue ready and wet, I'm gonna just add a little bit of blue. I'm gonna let it kind of get this tie-dye effect. You can just leave it there. Okay, make sure you don't mix it all up, or else you won't see the difference between the red and the blue. It'll kind of turn into a purple. All right, now it's time for you to get started. Try to do both of those techniques, the blotting and the wet on wet, in some area in your watercolor cakes.